Up next on Inside the SCCA, Solo Nationals Update. Welcome to this episode of Inside the SCCA. I think it's 167 maybe, or 168. It's a recorded episode, so we hit this one early. Brian's got a schedule, I've got travel, so we're hitting this one on the record basis, but we'll premiere it like it's live, as we always do. And I guess I've dropped a hint. Our guest this week is none other than Brian Mason. Hello, my friend. How are you?
I'm good, Brian. Thanks for having me.
I'm happy to have you. This is not your first time on the show. So
Nope.
We had you on last year, both at Solo Nationals. We chatted for a bit.
Yep.
And then we also did an episode earlier on in this little crazy Inside the SCCA thing. So welcome back. And so I'm going to skip the normal first question, which is, of course, how did you get mixed up in this crazy business? We've already answered that in the past. And but you are with us now. You are the Senior Manager of National Solo with SCCA. That's been that way for a while, right? That's not a new title, right?
Not for me. Yeah,
Okay.
Not for me. No, it's a few years now. So
that entails a lot, right? It's not just Solo Nationals. You're don't you shadow around the whole Solo National Tour?
yeah, so we operate. National Solo operates the National Tour program, which are the National Tour series of events, and then also Pro Solo.
Okay.
So handle both of those as well as Solo Nationals.
Got it. So a lot of stuff, a lot of important stuff. And you, of course, are in charge of, or are part of one of the, I think probably is the most participated in program in the SCCA.
Yeah, Solo. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's, a lot of us are very road racing focused. And but we also we sometimes get so laser focused on the thing we do the most that we forget that the other programs are sometimes even there. And I think we also take for granted the fact that we are not the highest participation sport, those of us who do more on the road racing side. So lots of very, very passionate solo people. And I learned that last year when I made my first trip ever to Solo Nationals. And it was an absolute blast. Is of course I asked you if we know what all the little ancillary stuff's going to be this year, and you're being coy with me. You're like, our schedule's not ready to go out, and I'm like, because of course we all travel some of us travel thousands of miles across the country to go all the way to Lincoln, Nebraska, and really the only reason we're going is for 6 60-second runs. And no, we go because there's a lot of other cool stuff going on and great people to be with and all of that. So, but today is a big day, though. We opened the registration for Nationals today. The Tier 1 folks were able to register today. Now, for those of you who might not know how things are done for Solo Nationals, there's 3 levels of registration, or 3 registration dates. Tier 1 it opens up so that all of the past 2023 national champions can get registered, and they make sure they don't run out of space for those folks. Also, the 100%ers, for those who might not know, Brian, in 30 seconds or less, tell us who the 100%ers are.
So we've had a select group. I don't want to say select. Is that the right word? Of folks that have attended every single national championship, Solo National Championship since 1973. Right? Is that right?
Yeah, because last year,
they're still going. Last year was the 50th running,
right?
Which means they had attended 50 of them.
Wow! And I think there were 6 last year, right?
I thought it was 8.
Maybe it was 8.
Yeah,
I've got my numbers wrong, but it was a cool group of cats that were out there doing their thing, and I'll be interested to see. I'm hoping all of them return for one more year. I
hope so.
I didn't ask the question because I thought it would be verboten, but I'm like, are you all 50%ers, 100%ers right until the 50th? And you're like, I've gotten to the 50th, I'm going to skip one. But I'm hoping that that's not the case. So, but anyway, those are the folks that were able to register today. Then coming up, I guess it would be a week from today, is going to be the Tier 2 folks. And those are the podium winners in each class. and the class winners from last year as well. And I think there's some other folks in that list. It's a good group there. And then finally on June 25th, my birthday, I get a birthday gift on June 25th.
Yes.
I've got to be at my computer feverishly pressing the refresh button on the 25th at 3 p.m. Central Time to get my name in to try to go and compete this year. And that's for everyone else. And remind us, what is the cap?
Well, we did 1,300 last year.
Okay.
And that's about, we had a good, we got it all through last year. There's a lot that can affect that, right? Weather, and
Right.
Weather's the big one.
Yep.
Things like lightning delays would slow things down quite a bit. But we'll stick to that 1,300 number, and it varies a little bit because it's 2 days, right? So there's Tuesday, Wednesday, and also Thursday, Friday. Right. And we, as hard as we try, we can't even it out. Right. So that's where that 1,300 number comes from.
Well, and you set up the schedule ahead of time. So and people plan their trips around, some folks, not everybody goes and spends the entire week at Lincoln. Some folks come just for their 2 days. And if you were to try to look at the classes and say, oh, wow, we got a whole bunch more people on Tuesday, Wednesday than we do on Thursday, Friday, let's move some to Thursday, Friday. That would be bad for the people who planned their vacation time to be there for the days that they were originally told.
Yeah. I mean, we try to get it out. We released the dates a little while back as far as run groups and days. And there's a couple of classes that we list every year as kind of like bubble. We're going to move them depending on on participation, really. And we base it all on up through Spring Nats, which was just a couple weeks ago, and that kind of helps even it out a little bit. But yeah, for the most part, everybody, man, they plan these things years in advance.
Sure.
And so we try to have some kind of idea ahead of time when you'll be going, because there's a lot of people that have to ask off on January 1st for their whole year's vacation. So
absolutely,
we try to help them out as much as we can. We'd love to have them out there, so we want to make it easy.
So last year I ran in H-Stock. For those who, and I'll put the link in the show notes, for those of you who want to see a podcast for an epic battle for the last place position in the slowest class in the SCCA, that was what I was doing, trying to not be last place in H-Stock. We have a great podcast. Some really awesome guys came with a very, very awesome car, a Crown Vic, and it was epic. It was like epic across the pond wars, Crown Vic versus Honda Fit. And if you're interested in some fun and some jocularity and some good-natured ribbing and barbs, go check out that podcast. I'll put it in the show notes. But that was my experience last year. Oops, hit the wrong button. There we go. That was my experience last year, if you want more information about that. But so anyway, last year I raced in H-Stock on Thursday, Friday. This year I'm on Tuesday, Wednesday. Is that kind of pretty typical that you flip them from year to year as much as you can?
Yeah, that's pretty common. To do that, yeah.
Yeah. I guess that means that the good part about that is if you're also coming in for pro solo, you're not always going to have to spend the entire 7 days there. You could actually leave early if you needed to on the years that you're in the Tuesday, Wednesday one group. So I get that completely. So very cool there. And then real quick, back to Tier 2, the ones I couldn't see until I wrapped my little thing here. Also, the Silver Circle members are on Tier 2. Those are the folks who've been to 25 or more solo nats. Those folks get to also register in Tier 2. That was the one group I knew. I didn't know what it was, but there was one more. So there's that. Okay, so let's get to the crux of what we're doing. We've got some courses. They've been set, and that is always a big question. What's the course going to look like? Is it going to be good for my car? Is it going to be a high horsepower course? Is it going to be a twisty course? Where is my best thing going to be? And I knew none of that going into last year. I'm going to go have fun and learn a whole ton. But for the folks who might actually be competing for a national championship, I know this is a big deal. Tell us a little bit about the courses. I know you were part of the test days on the courses. What can you tell us? What can you share with us?
Oh man, so yeah, we got them all. We got them all laid out and set. This year's course designers are Jeff Cox on the West course, which is also known as Cornside, and Mike Fawcett is on the East course, or the Plain side, as a lot of people refer to it. So this guys came in, drew up their courses, and so we brought them in. And the way that all works, for those of you folks that don't know, we have the course designers come in. We have a couple of liaisons from the SCB who help out and kind of oversee and make sure that everything works, is all good with the way things are supposed to work, as far as rules and course parameters and that sort of thing. And so they'll lay out the courses, and then some lucky person or a couple lucky people get to go out and test the course. And I happen to be one of the lucky ones. So I got to go out and test them, but it's a lot of fun. It's neat. We do it over a couple days. Some people always wonder maybe, how much is involved in that sort of thing. And one thing that we did this year that was, is we're always trying to we want to make sure they flow well, they look good visually, they're able to, follow them easily and that sort of thing for both we have a lot of very, very experienced, pointy end, right, people out there, but we open it up to everybody. So get some folks out that autocross maybe, not that often.
Right.
And so we want everybody to be able to, have a good time and do the best they can. So, so we look at it that way as well. And, great example of how much effort we put into, how much we care about it, right? And how much effort we put into it. We had laid out the West course and went out and did all the testing and made some changes here and worked on it. And, I kept driving it, which is always fun. And then that night we kind of talked about it a little bit, and it was just, it was one of those things where it's like not everybody, was kind of like on the same page and stuff. So sure enough, we decided we talked to Jeff, and he said, you know what, I've got an idea. And so we came out the following morning and completely tore the course apart, took it down, put it all back up, whole new course. So that's how much effort that everybody's willing to go through to make it right. We weren't quite sure on that course and put another one together, and sure enough, it was, that one was much, it was fun. It was actually that West course, the way the courses worked, right? One's smaller surface area wise than the other. And, but Jeff put together a really fun, real fun course. It's different, than what we've seen the last few years. When I say different, it's different than what we've seen on the West course for the last few years. And, I absolutely had the first time I went out and ran the what is now the Nationals West course. I came through it and it was like, this is fun.
Yeah.
And like a lot of fun. Right. So, could do it a few more times and made some adjustments here and there. And, it's a lot of, it's going to be a good time.
Yeah.
So it's the West course is different from what we've seen the last few years, which is a good thing. And certainly Nationals worthy, and excited to get everybody out on it and see what they say there.
Right. So going back just for a second, for those of folks who may have never been to Solo Nationals, at least the last several years, it's at Lincoln Air Park. So yes. It's on a piece of tarmac that is between the runways and a cornfield, and that's how we got the court side and the plain side. And one of the coolest experiences of my life, honestly, because I've been to lots of races over the last 35 years, lots of events, and to be running an event, and then looking up and seeing fighter planes and Air Force tankers doing touch and goes like 500 yards away is the coolest thing in the world. It is like the combination of two of the things I love the most, which is aviation and cars. So planes and cars. This is very, very cool. But yeah, it's and back to your point that you mentioned earlier about how you've got some of the best people who have ever strapped themselves into a car to compete in an autocross, and then people like me who, before going to last year's Solo Nationals, I had done 2 events last year to kind of remind myself what an autocross was, because prior to that, the last time I had done an autocross was 1992 or 91.
Okay.
And I hadn't planned to, when I decided we were going to come out and do the shows from out there, I was just going to come out and do my shows. And Hayward gave me just a slap in the back of the head and said, "Hey, doofus, if you're going to go, you should drive." And I'm like, "I don't have a car to drive. I haven't done one." No. You don't have to be good. You just have to sign up and go. And that is actually one of the coolest things about this event is that you've got, first of all, I got to see some really fantastic drivers and learn and talk to people who I might not get to see at my local events. I mean, we've got some fantastic drivers out here too, but people driving my cars or cars similar to mine. No one was driving my car, but nonetheless. But you really get to mingle and learn and see people and all that kind of stuff. But I didn't find the courses last year to be so difficult that I couldn't at least figure them out. I spent more time walking the course on the first course that we did and looking at videos than I did the second course, and it showed because my first day I didn't have any missed runs. I was able to count all 3 of my runs. The second day, I didn't get to count my first run. And then I got into my head, so I made the second one really slow because I wanted to get a banker run in. And then the third run, I went all in and messed that one up too. So, but it wasn't so. It was more because I didn't take the time because I was also doing broadcasting. I'm making excuses. Right. So the top drawer of my toolbox is screwdrivers and race winning speeches, and then the bottom drawer of my toolbox is my big ratchets and excuses. So I've just opened up the bottom drawer of my toolbox, and I'm pulling out my list of excuses. So not only was I there to drive and compete, I was there to do my podcast. So that's my excuse for the second day is I was doing shows, and I didn't have as much time to spend looking at the videos from the people the day before, and that's my excuse. Anyway, but I didn't do as well the second day, but that was more on me than it was on the course, and I thought it was cool that the courses weren't so foreign to me that I couldn't figure them out.
Yeah, again, we talked about like visual, right? So a lot of it's visuals and flow, of course. So, you come out of one turn and it should lead you to the next one,
right?
Or element, as it may be. But visually, there's a lot of people, really smart people out there that can, lay cones down in a way that allows your eyes to follow where you need to go.
Right.
And if you can, especially when you get out to a place like Lincoln, on the East course, right? The plain side, it's a long course.
It is.
And there's a lot of elements.
Yep.
And of course, it's not, there's probably some people out there that are memorizing every little, nook and cranny and turn and where a bump is and all that stuff. But I think for the most part, it's, just look up, look ahead and just go from, just visualize yourself through the course as you're driving it. And,
right.
So yeah, I mean, that's the idea. You want to make it flow well and see it so you can see it as you're driving it and
right.
Just go out and, remember some key points that you need to hit, hit this wall over here or not hit it, right? You don't obviously want to hit any cones
Sure.
out there, but hit your marks and I want to be here on this point. I want to be over here on this point. And, you just memorize a few key places to be and the rest of it, you should be able to,
yeah.
see your way through it. Yeah.
I had one particular gate that I just would get to on the Cornside course last year, and I just didn't pick it up. My eyes, you're supposed to look ahead. Yep. I clearly wasn't looking, or I think I actually looked ahead past that gate, to be honest with you. And it was the first gate of a short little slalom, and I think I was looking too far ahead because I never picked up that first cone properly. But and that's a lesson learned, and I will try to make myself better at it next year.
Yeah.
But it's just was really a cool experience from that standpoint. And so when you say the course is different, is there are there features to it that one part of the country might not see normally that another part would? What makes it different? Is there a way that you can describe that?
Well, so some of it, some of it is we do a few different things, right? So course design, we have a course designer for the course. And so all the course designers, for the most part, are, have their own style.
Right.
They'd like certain things. And that kind of translates into some, geographically differences, right? I mean, you go to different parts of the country and you'll see different things, right? And it's trends or, just whether it's a course designer themselves doing it or, people that go to the events and see it and then bring it home to their region and do it. So you'll see a little bit of that. And that's why it's fun to pick different course designers each year, because you can get different feel, for all the events. But also, it's, you got that blank canvas, right? And for the most part, we try to have the flow be a certain direction out there. And typically, on the West course or the corn side, it's always kind of flowed counterclockwise, so to speak. And, or at least not always, but the last few years and that sort of thing. And this one flows the other direction, which is unique.
Okay.
At least recently. But because of that, it has a different feel.
Sure.
And a different look. You kind of get to the point where it's like, well, I've been here for a while and I always go out here and I kind of turn this way. Right. And then I'm looking at the back 40 and, then I turn and I'm looking over at the airplanes and then and you kind of get this little flow feel of how it all works. And so the neat thing, Jeff came out and put it the other direction. So it's going the other way and it's just really fun. And it's certainly not the only, we've done it this way before in the past, but it's been long enough and it was done in such a way that, it just has that course. And they're both great courses. We'll talk, we talk about the other one as well, Mike's. But it just has a feel of just a fresh feel to it that was just really invigorating and just exciting. Yeah.
It's interesting because the plainside course, it's a bigger footprint. The pad is larger, and I don't know by how many square feet or however you guys measure that, but it's appreciably bigger. And it felt to me like that because of that, that was going to be a course that was going to be more beneficial to have a higher horsepower car rather than a better handling car, because because of the length of the course, you could have some longer stretch out the throttle pedal a little bit more areas. Is that kind of just by the nature of the one course is bigger than the other that's how that turns out?
I don't think so. Of course, I might be completely wrong on that. But I think, because you end up putting more elements in, right? And
right.
By elements, you mean, features and that sort of thing, to fill that space. And if the course designers over the years have done that, in different ways. And, but it's, I don't know that it translates directly to, that one's a higher power,
sure,
versus a momentum course, say on one side versus the other. I'm not sure that that's necessarily the case. The plain side or east side gives you opportunity to certainly open it up more or because you gotta fill that space, and it's a lot more. I don't know how much more it is, but I mean it's significant. And but yeah, I don't know that it necessarily translates to bigger course, bigger power.
Right.
That's certainly not what we're looking for. I mean,
sure.
Yeah.
So it's got to be quite the honor to be asked to design a course for the Solo Nationals, right?
Yeah. Well, the way the process works is we open it up and people can submit to do it. We don't necessarily ask people to do it. We get enough. We hope each year to get enough course designers interested in doing it that we can pick and choose. And so we have a process where they apply to get in on it, and then we try to keep it fresh. We try to rotate through them, not have the same, designer year after year after year, that sort of thing. And it's one thing that it's a pretty, we have a lot of just incredibly talented course designers out there across, in the autocross world, across the country. And they're all capable of putting fantastic courses down on paper or on the asphalt. But when it comes to nationals, it's there's a lot more involved in terms of like setup time, being able to put the course down early so we can test it and get it set up, ready to go, and then also come back and do it in that amount of time, but also work with, because we want it to be the best it can be. And so there's, we're critical in terms of all aspects of the course. And so we want to make sure that we have a course designer that has the experience to be able to work with the SCB and the staff and the event itself, and be able to be flexible and accommodate anything that we need to happen. I mean, perfect example is, Jeff. It's like, hey, he lays out his course, and this is what he's been working on this thing, right? This is his baby.
Yeah.
He's got it laid out. And at the end of the day, it's like, hey, let's try something different. Right.
Right.
And he's, that's tough.
Right.
Of course he came through with flying colors and maybe he had this thing in his pocket, saving it, because it was like, man, it would have been great to start with this one. We'd have been done yesterday.
Yeah.
We'd all be, partying right now or something. But
you should ask him. Did you have that second course ready just in case?
Well, he did. I think.
Or did he go back that night and draw it up?
Everybody knows Jeff Cox, and he runs at like 900 miles an hour all the time. So it's, who knows what's going, how many things he has all just piled up in the back of his head, just trying to get themselves out on, through his limbs and stuff. He's always moving somewhere. But no, it's so that process. But what we try to do is we want new people to come in. We always want to have fresh designers and just keep the pool full. And we have national tour events and pro solos, and we always need people to do courses for those as well. And so we're trying to bring in new. Mike Fawcett did the course, the East course this year, and man, it's been I don't know, he's not one of the more frequent national course designers, but again, fantastic course designer out of the Colorado area, and well respected, and so it's an application process, and then people, the SCB, kind of talk it over, look at what we got to work with, and also keep the doors revolving, and to get people in and out of there. So so it's certainly an honor, and they got there's a lot to it. You gotta have pretty thick skin and pretty good ego and all those things that make an autocrosser good. And but man, this year's just like always. It's good couple of guys in the courses, and I think and then we'll take anybody else that that's interested in doing nationals, solo nationals for sure course. And that's one of the nice things we have, like spring nats, right? So we can bring them into spring nats and kind of give it a hey, get some experience, right? Put down a spring nats course, get an idea what it's like, and working with everybody and at Lincoln, and once you get a spring nats course under your belt, you got some national experience and that sort of thing, then it's like you're ready to like the minor leagues, right? Working your way up to the majors.
So do you run two courses at spring nats just like you do at solo nationals?
Yeah, we have been the last few years, and
So it gets
it's
two
kind of
designers a shot to
training ground,
training ground,
so to
cool.
speak. Yeah, and I mean, ultimately, but we have been doing an east and a west again. We don't do it overlapping like you
Right.
know simultaneously yet. We get this year spring nats. We capped out. Heck, man, if we can keep the interest going, why not, right?
Yeah.
Let's bring on some more people and we'll run both days.
Yeah.
And have the crew run Saturday on the East Course and so forth.
Very
I'd love
cool.
to have that happen. Love to see the numbers do that. But yeah, that's the idea. I think we're continuing to do that is to just help get the experience to the designers, just so we can have top level. I mean, that's what everybody comes to an event, right?
Sure.
I mean, for all the, I mean, there's probably quite a big argument, as to why you show up to Solo Nationals, right? Is it because you want to compete or do you want to just hang out and have fun with friends from all over the country, right? But really the product that we offer to our membership, to the entries, to the participants is the course.
Right.
And we just want to just put as much effort in we can to making that product be the absolute best product that we can offer them. So,
yeah, I think that there's, probably 15 people in each class who are there knowing they've got a shot. And then there's probably 35 or 40 people in the bigger classes going knowing they don't have a shot, and they're going to have fun and do the best they can and measure themselves against that competition. But still, they're also going because it's a great event and the atmosphere and everything, it is one of the best motorsports parties I've ever been a part of. So
that's neat.
Yeah, very cool. Let's take a second here real quick. I want to thank the people who helped make this podcast possible. And since it's a solo show, let's start it off with Solo Performance Specialties. Dave and his crew there show up at most of the National Tour events, and they're always at Solo Nationals. And they are one of our partners here, and all of their information is in the show notes. You don't have to go to one of his events to get stuff from them. You could go online and order it, and they ship it just like any other of our great partners out there. So check his information out down in the show notes. Racekeeper, the official in-car camera of Inside the SCCA. That is how I documented the debacle. I mean, the great time that I had at Solo Nationals last year. What cool part about about the podcast, by the way, is we have side-by-side video of me and the in-car camera from the Crown Vic, and it is hilarious. So check that out. Of course, that video that I had came from Racekeeper. Great folks there. All of their information is in the show notes. And then the official sim racing league of Inside the SCCA is Ray Esports. Anybody who does the iRacing sim leagues and has been part of that knows how great that group is. And there's actually some opportunities to sponsor some of this year's races. Get a hold of Ray. He put up some information on the Facebook page this week. So check that out if you have a couple of bucks. I think it's $65 to sponsor one of the races on the Ray Esports League. Don't quote me on that price, but it's reasonable. Anybody can do it. And that helps get them broadcast so you can show everybody at work how either talented or untalented you are at iRacing. So check all those folks out. All of the information is in the show notes. Thank you to all of those folks for being part of the Inside the SCCA podcast. All right, back to business here, Brian, or at least a different kind of business. What else do we need to know about these courses? Is there anything, it was interesting to me last year, and this year it's going to be different for me because I found great benefit from running on the second 2 days because I was able to go on YouTube and see people driving these courses. Now, this year, on at least day one, I'm not going to have that benefit. Now, no one on day one has that benefit, so we're all equal in that regard. But I found it hugely helpful to be able to watch some in-car videos, and I guess that's another good reason to flip-flop the run groups as much as possible from one year to another because, that little extra unfair advantage or extra advantage is kind of cool to have. You got to drive the course. So do you get to still compete at Solo Nationals because you tested the course?
I can. We've got some rules built in there where
there's a time period, right?
Well, it's not time period is disqualify a certain number of runs, that sort of thing.
Gotcha. Okay.
It'd be different if I was like competitive.
Well, that's true too. Yeah. I'd be the perfect course tester because I don't have to worry about, no one has to worry about me stealing a trophy from at least this year.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I'm the same way. But no, I did compete last year. It was, I had a lot of fun doing it. And I wanted to do it, because it was the 50th.
Yep.
And I hadn't competed at nationals in some large number of years.
Right.
Been out there a few times, obviously,
Sure.
chaired the event and so forth. But I just was able to jump in. One of our great competitors offered up the car and just said it's ready. And I mean, I think my first run, I came off. You have the 5-car guy, right?
Right.
And I'm pretty sure that they came by before I got to the car and said I was 5 cars out, because I got off the golf cart, ran into the grid, put on my helmet, got in the car, and I wasn't thinking about competing for sure.
Sure.
But it was fun, and so yeah, I'll I don't know if I'll get to compete again this year or not, but certainly hopefully get to drive it, if not compete, right?
Yeah. So
It's fun. Yeah, it's fun mixing out there with all, getting in, and I'm still an autocrosser at heart, right? So
yeah. I'm going to hit you up with a question I didn't warn you ahead of time, and you might not know the answer, but the new club spec classes.
Yeah.
Are those going to be eligible for a national championship this year? Because I know there were still some questions on that.
Yeah, being a supplemental class, they're eligible for class. It's not considered a national championship, right?
Okay.
It's a champion. It's a champion, just not national championship. So, yeah, supplemental classes are that way, and supplemental classes are, as we bring in new classes and so forth, they don't meet certain criteria, or we're trying to, figure out, how they'll fit in, rules, changes, that sort of thing. And
Right.
So we need a little bit of a time period going to where we can make any adjustments that are needed. So, but they will be there. Excited about them, excited to see them. We've had, as far as national events go, the Mustang, right, the CSM
Right.
cars, we've seen quite a few of those come out, and it's been fun watching them. And then the CSX, or the Miata, the NCs, they're a little slower to get to show up to national events wise, at least. And but I think they'll have a good following as well. And I know we're going to have a nice part of the test and tune course. We don't have the details together exactly yet, but I know folks will be able to get out. And the SCCA has a CSX car that should be rolling here pretty soon. It was being put together in the last couple of weeks, and it's going to be out and available for people to drive on the test course and check out and that sort of thing. Working with Mazda and so forth on that, so that opportunity is there. And I know the Mustangs are just, man, they're being the wild West, we'll hopefully have plenty of Mustangs out there.
Yeah.
But it's fun to watch. We had it's exciting to see programs like that come together.
Yeah.
I think a lot of camaraderie and
Sure.
yeah, community,
Cool.
right? It's road racing is the same way. I mean, spec classes, I think, are more of a community than they are, right?
In most cases, until you get to the runoffs.
Well, yeah.
And then the community is an arm's length community.
Yeah.
Once you get there. So a couple of more dates I want to throw out there for people. And so the entry fee for the for the solo nationals is going to go up on July 31st. That probably won't be too big a deal, because I'm going to guess that it'll sell out way before that. So you can always still sign up late and be on a wait list likely, but we'll see how that all works out. Also is if you have to cancel, your refund increases, or you lose more money if you cancel after July 31st. So that's another thing you want to keep an eye on. All of the online registration closes on August 26th, which is just a couple days before National. So if you're a procrastinator, that's the date you should look out for. And then if the last day to cancel and receive a refund will be August 30th, but no one's going to do that. At least not at August 30th. They'll probably have made a decision earlier than that. But yeah, so those are some other important dates. Test and Tune. You can actually sign up for Test and Tune now, and it doesn't matter what tier you're in for that. So if you're going to be test and tuning on, and you're running on days 1 and 2, I found those Test and Tune dates filled up really fast. Yeah. So not quite. I was on the last 2 days, so I was able to test and tune while the group 2, the first day groups were going. So that was a nice thing for me. But if you want to test and tune before or on those first 2 dates, you might want to sign up quickly for that. All right, what have we missed? What else should we chat about?
Man, well, we could probably chat a little bit about the theme, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, Wild Wild West. It's I want to say it's gaining traction, but that's it. I think it had full traction as soon as it hit the airwaves.
So we're gonna have a hoedown. Is there are we gonna do a little boot scoot boogie?
I hope so.
I mean, I don't boot scoot boogie, but
I'm not sure. I'll have boots on, but I'll scoot around, but I don't have a whole lot of boogie in me either.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be a fun theme. Nationals theme is always is fun, and try to, a lot of people have a really good time with it.
Sure.
We're still working out details again. It's as close as we are to nationals with our registration opening and all that stuff. There's still a few things that we got to get together, but it's based on the enthusiasm and that sort of thing. I think we're going to try some different stuff for the welcome party this year, and that'll, again, revolving around the whole Wild Wild West theme and that sort of thing. So excited about that. And man, that the fun thing about the theme is you, as soon as you hear it, right, it depends on your generation and,
right,
and all those things as to what you're thinking.
Yeah.
But I mean, even it's like, golly, how many different versions of Wild Wild West? There's going to be a bunch of them, right? From different generations to different, movies to TV to all kinds of different stuff.
Yeah, I mean, there's the Wild Wild West song. You could go from that era
there's a couple of them, right?
Yeah. So, there's some. Yeah, you're right. There's actually more than one. So this could go off the rails very fast.
Yeah. The movies and TV shows, and
that's good stuff.
Yeah,
good stuff. Cool. When do we think the schedule with a lot of the extra ancillary events will be posted? I won't hold you to it.
It should be real soon.
Okay.
We're working on it. We meet weekly and work on that stuff. So I know we've got a lot of ideas going back and forth and detail. Just trying to get some stuff organized, right? Make sure we have it in place,
right?
But certainly in the next few days, week, we'll have a lot more info. Of course, the competition schedule pretty much stays the same every year in terms of check-in and tech and registration, and then the competition days and hours and all of that. Pretty much, that's always set. It's the stuff that happens, what we call it internally, right, is the Mason Myers line, right? So I handle from grid to the course side of things, and,
right.
and Rick Myers, director of Solo Rally Solo, he handles from the the Solo downtown area,
right,
back towards Paddock and social parts of it and that sort of stuff, and so that's where we just need to make sure we get everything. Parties are obviously important, awards, banquets, parties, and then Paddock, and then parties, and so just being able to let everybody do what they want to do when they get there, because it's that's why everybody's there is really to hang out and just visit with everybody. And
so you're a little bit country and he's a little bit rock and roll.
I think,
or is it the other way around?
He's pretty country. Yeah, he's man, he's full on barrel racing horse person. And
well, then that means that the Wild Wild West is the perfect theme for him.
Yeah.
Cool.
I think it's what he's doing this week. He's on vacation this week, and I'm pretty sure he's on a horse every day.
Cool.
So yeah.
All right, I'm out of questions, and I think we've covered most of what we need to cover. You are always welcome to come back. Maybe we should schedule another time, or maybe send one of your cohorts to hop on with me. But we should definitely get back on maybe late July or early August and do another one.
Mm-hmm.
And,
we'll certainly
get
an
caught
update
up with stuff, and we'll have some more information about the schedules and the parties and all that kind of stuff, and all that other stuff. So cool. All right, Brian, thank you. Appreciate it. It's late where you're at, and I really appreciate you making the time for us.
You bet. Anytime. I enjoy it, and thanks for having us on the show, and we look forward to getting together and doing it again.
There we go. All right, that's going to do it for another episode of Inside the SCCA. If you like what you hear, subscribe to the RacingWire Podcast Network and the Racing Network on YouTube. Live most Wednesday nights, but we always have a show on Wednesday nights, except for last week when we didn't have a show on Wednesday nights. It's because of a root canal, folks. Blame it on the root canal. We will be here again next week. Leave a comment, especially if it's a good one. Follow us on social media and find out who our next guest is. On Twitter, it's @RacingWireNet. There's a new Inside the SCCA every week. I'm Brian Bielanski. Have yourself a fantastic weekend. Stay safe and go play with cars.
Hi, I'm Kelton Jago, and this is Inside the SCCA.
Inside the SCCA is a presentation of the RacingWire Podcast Network and Rural 15 Productions. This podcast is not affiliated with, endorsed, or sponsored by the Sports Car Club of America. The views expressed within are those of the host and our guests, and not that of the SCCA.